Have you ever worked with someone who never quits, never leaves, never even talks about leaving, and somehow seems quietly miserable every single day? They've been there for years. They know how everything works. They show up early, they stay late, and they're the first person to remind anyone who will listen how much they care about the company. But underneath every meeting, every lunch break, every hallway conversation, there's a complaint about leadership, about the new direction, about the new hire, about the way things used to be done before everyone forgot what mattered. And here's what almost no one tells you. That person is doing far more damage to your workplace than the laziest employee in the building. Most leaders are trained to spot the obvious problem, the one who shows up late, the one who misses deadlines, the one who clearly isn't pulling their weight. But the loyal complainer slips through every filter. Because on paper, they look committed. In practice, they're a slow leak in the foundation of the team. And the longer they go unaddressed, the more the team adapts around them, until the dysfunction starts to feel like the culture itself. If this is your first time on this channel, I'm Dre, and here's how I want you to think about it. The lazy employee is a wound. You can see it, you can measure it, you can decide what to do about it. The loyal complainer is rust, quiet, invisible, eating away at the frame of your team long before anyone realizes the whole structure has gone soft. So in this video, I want to walk you through why this person is more dangerous than you think, how they survive in plain sight, and what to do if you're working alongside one, or worse, if you started becoming one yourself. Point number 1. The lazy employee is identifiable. The loyal complainer is invisible damage. The lazy employee hands leadership the evidence, missed deadlines, empty deliverables, patterns that show up in any performance review. The conversation has a script. The action has a timeline. But the loyal complainer produces. They show up. They pass every visible measurement. And while leadership is checking the boxes, the actual culture of the team is being shaped quietly underneath them. By the side comments at lunch, by the conversations after the meeting, by the steady undercurrent of, we used to do it better, we should be doing it differently, this won't work anyway. None of that shows up in a performance review. All of it shapes how the team feels about the work they're being asked to do. Point number 2. Loyalty becomes their shield. This is the part that makes this so hard. They've been there. They've stayed through the hard seasons. They've watched people come and go. And anytime someone questions their behavior, they reach for the same defense. I'm just being honest. I'm just trying to help. I care more than anyone here. That loyalty becomes a kind of armor, because no leader wants to confront the person who has given the company a decade of their life. So the complaints continue, the negativity spreads, and tenure keeps them in place far longer than their actual contribution justifies. You have to understand something. Loyalty without accountability stops being loyalty. It becomes leverage. Point number 3. They poison morale one conversation at a time. A lazy employee mostly affects their own output. The loyal complainer affects everyone's output. They're not loud about it. They don't write company-wide emails. They just have one quiet conversation at a time. With a new hire who was excited last week and now seems unsure. With a high performer who used to defend leadership and now seems skeptical. With a colleague who used to bring energy and now just clocks in and clocks out. None of these shifts are dramatic. None of them are easy to trace, but over months, over years, the team that used to move forward starts to drift backwards, and nobody can quite explain when it began. That's the part that makes this so insidious. The damage doesn't have a date, it just has a direction. Point number 4. They've trained themselves to believe complaining is caring. This is the most important thing to understand. The loyal complainer doesn't see themselves as negative. In their own mind, They're the only one telling the truth. They're the only one paying attention. They're the only one who really cares about getting it right. And that self-perception is what makes them so dangerous, because they will never recognize themselves in a video like this. They'll watch every word and immediately think of someone else. But a complaint dressed up as concern still functions as a complaint. A criticism wrapped in, "I'm just being real," still erodes the people who hear it. The packaging changes. The effect does not. Point number 5. They erode trust without ever crossing a clear line. Here's why leadership rarely intervenes. The loyal complainer never gives them a clean reason to. They don't curse out a colleague. They don't miss a deadline. They don't violate a policy. They just shape perception. Slowly, constantly, through tone, through timing, through what they choose to bring up in front of which people. And by the time leadership notices that the team has lost faith in something, the strategy, the new manager, the recent change, the source is impossible to pinpoint. Because the damage came from 100 small moments, not one big one. That's why this is so hard to address through normal channels. Most HR systems are built to catch events. This person operates in atmosphere. Point number 6. Leadership mistakes tenure for value. A lot of organizations confuse longevity with contribution. If someone has been there for 10 years, the assumption is they must be valuable. They must know things. They must matter. But tenure is just time. It's not impact. And the loyal complainer often survives precisely because nobody wants to do the math on what they're actually adding versus what they're actually costing. The real cost shows up somewhere else, in turnover, in lost momentum, in the high performers who quietly leave because they couldn't stand the energy anymore, in the projects that died from 1,000 small moments of skepticism before they ever had a chance. None of those costs get traced back to one person, so the person stays, and the cost compounds, year after year, while the org keeps wondering why nothing seems to take off. Point number 7. They block change because change threatens their position. The loyal complainer is most dangerous when the organization tries to evolve. New leadership, new systems, new direction. Anytime change comes, they go to work. Not visibly, not directly, but through the steady drumbeat of, "This won't work. We tried this before." The new person doesn't get it. Because change exposes them. New leadership might actually see them clearly. New systems might actually measure their real contribution. New direction might actually require skills they haven't developed in the years they've been coasting on familiarity. So they fight every shift, not because the change is wrong, but because the status quo protects them. And the team, which doesn't know any of this, just absorbs the resistance and starts to doubt the change, too. Point number 8. They quietly train the next generation to be cynical. This might be the most lasting damage of all. New employees join. They're enthusiastic. They believe in the mission. They want to do good work. And then they get pulled aside. Just so you know how things really work here. Just so you know what leadership is really like. Just so you know what to expect. Within a few months, the new hire who came in ready to contribute is now another voice of quiet skepticism. The complainer doesn't just affect the present team, they shape the future of the team. They turn fresh energy into early disillusionment. And once that cycle becomes part of onboarding, it becomes part of the culture itself. The damage stops being one person and starts being the place. So here's the mindset shift I want you to sit with. If you're a leader, the question isn't just who is underperforming. The question is, who is shaping the emotional weather of my team, and is that weather helping us or holding us back? The loudest signal isn't always the most important one. Sometimes the person you need to address is the one who has never given you a reason to address them. And if you're an employee, the harder question is whether any of this hits closer than you expected. Because the loyal complainer almost never sees themselves clearly. The signs are subtle, always being the one to point out what's wrong, rarely being the one to offer something better, feeling like the only person who really sees the problems, confusing your seniority with your influence, confusing your frustration with your insight. None of those alone make you a bad person, but all of them, over time, will quietly damage the people around you and the career you've built. The most dangerous part isn't being unaware that this is happening. It's slowly becoming the person you used to complain about. The most dangerous employee in any workplace isn't the one who isn't doing the work. It's the one who looks like they're doing everything right while slowly draining the energy out of everyone else. Once you see this dynamic, you can't unsee it. You start to recognize it in meetings, in hallway conversations, in how new hires sound after their first 90 days. And if you're being honest, sometimes in yourself. If any of this hit, I made another video that goes deeper into this exact territory. What to do when you realize your workplace has become toxic, and how to build a 3 to 6 month exit plan if it's time to move on. I'll link it next. And if this video changed how you think about the people you work with, hit the subscribe button. Every week, I'm breaking down workplace dynamics, career strategy, and how to move through your career with clarity. I'll see you in the next one.